Hello and welcome to Going 19, episode 18. Today we go to Derry as we start It from Stephen King. We are covering part 1, The Shadow Before, chapters 1, 2, and 3. I am Ed. With me is Amber. Let's start the show. All right, back to Derry. It Chapter 1.
Man, I read this book when I was at least 13 because in the front it says I heart my crush at the time.
Oh, like a boyfriend?
Uh-huh.
Didn't I give you a book? Or did I not buy you one? No, you said you had one. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it all started because you had given me several because I don't even remember. I think it was basically that. And then I was like, sure, I'll read these. I want to read new things. And then it was, I don't know if it was me wanting to connect with you more or me actually enjoying it that much or both, but it worked.
I'm going to say it was both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know how many times I've read this book. So, at least 3. This is at least my 4th. Because I think when I reread it, let's say on vacation, that was my 3rd, I think. I don't know. Whenever I need something to read, I just pick up it. So.
I think even like Debbie said that she reread this one, or at least she's read it. For some reason, I have that in my head.
I haven't talked to her. I was tempted to ask her again, but you know what? Nah, I can't. Anyway, we're on. We're recording, so I'm not getting into all that.
Yeah. All right. So I wonder why it's called part 1 is called The Shadow Before. Like before what? It's been there the whole time.
Before present day.
Okay, but
because present day is the 6 phone calls, so this is.
But the 6 phone calls is in part 1.
Well, yeah. Oh, well.
And after the festival is also the present, so I don't think that's right.
Maybe. I'm going to say the 6 phone calls introduce 5 flashbacks. Bev wasn't really a flashback. I don't know. We'll get to it. I don't know why it's called that. I just took it like because that's what happened in the 50s, and now we're in the 80s.
But it's not in the 50s. It's only one part is in the 50s, and 2 parts are in the 80s. Oh, you mean because of the flashbacks?
Right.
Okay, well, maybe.
The only thing I think is... Anyway, I'm not going to... There's too many pages in this book to dwell on that.
Sorry.
Maybe he... I'm sure there's a reason. Well, what's part 2 called? God, we didn't even get to
June of 1958. That makes a lot more sense. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, that didn't help my theory at all. Well, read it and find out. Well, I did read it. I didn't find out, so I don't know.
Maybe that's
the shadow before is, I guess Georgie is the shadow before, right?
Maybe because Georgie is like he's a pretty. It's like he's a prominent character, but also not a character at all because you only see him in the very beginning.
It's amazing how short his part is and what a influence he is on everything else.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Like,
how many pages is Georgie? Like 15 at the most. Wait, let me see. Is 16 pages, and like everything you know about it, like people that haven't read it, like those 16 pages are what they know.
Mm-hmm.
The kid with the balloon and the yellow slicker
and Bill is still a part of George's section too.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's not even his alone.
Bill forgets Georgie even existed. I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, he didn't say Did he say? I thought he did say he told her he had a brother that died, but he just forgot everything else about it.
Right, he didn't tell her he got murdered by a child serial killer, which I never thought of him that way before. Guess I should have, because that's what he is. But he's so much more than that.
He's kind of an everything serial killer, because he kills adults too.
Well, he kills the kids he was trying to kill when they grow up. Yeah, I don't know. He's an interdimensional spider traveler.
He's a Todash.
Right. We're getting ahead of ourselves. All right. Well, let's go to Georgie. Wichman Jackson.
I know.
Not
I looked up a map because I wanted to try to see how it compares, or like what. I guess how small Derry is. I never realized how small it looks on the map.
you talking about Bangor?
No, I looked up a fictional map of Derry that was created.
Yeah.
That's also, I think, based loosely on Bangor by the street. Because I think he said he only changed 3 of the street names, didn't he? Stu's son. Oh my God, I can't remember his name. I'm sorry. Oh,
Jamie?
Jamie. Yeah, he said he only changed 3 street names for Derry.
I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
Or I didn't remember that part. What were the 3? You remember what they were?
I have to look at the map. I might be able to remember it. I took some video too. I might have it on video.
Oh, I didn't take any video. I learned that I almost never go back and watch that stuff. I do have like 4 main folders now. But...
I also just was trying to understand what he was describing when he said like, oh, this part of the road is mostly blocked off, but you can still get down this part and go to there to the canal.
Yeah.
And like, what?
I think he changed it completely because the way he describes it in the book does not look like that intersection even a little bit. Like it goes down the hill, but then the street ends at that intersection. It's like a T. He makes the end of it sound like almost like not a highway, but like a busy road, and I didn't see it that way at all. And if I remember right, it wasn't like the bottom of the hill wasn't the end of the road. It kept going.
Which hill?
And then if you look at I was just watching the movie, the opening scene. That looks nothing like either the book or what Jamie was talking about. So that's like the middle of the street. There's no hill. It's a residential neighborhood. Well, I guess
you mean the hill that the water is going down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically flat. It's just flooding for 3 days. Like how I guess the narrator is Mike. I think somebody on the internet told me that.
Well, what do
the
you
narrator,
mean?
who you find out later, is Mike Hanlon. I'm like, well, Mike. Yeah, I don't know that I agree with that.
There's nobody narrating right now, though.
Well, when he says stuff like, everyone agreed the worst was over. The conductor crested just below the bank like that stuff.
Where are you?
Page 4. Like third paragraph. Zach Denbrough.
I feel like that's much more third person, though, because then if it was Mike, he would say, we all agreed, or, like, it seems very detached.
Well, I read it on the internet, so I know it's true. About that.
What I also found really cool reading this section, especially again as an adult, was how Georgie describes like the fear that he feels over the little things. Like I think I'm getting, I don't know, yeah, it's where is it?
The stupid little kid.
Oh yeah,
like he's scared of the basement
when he goes to the cellar, yeah, and it's like the same kind of fears where it's like you're afraid to reach out because you're not sure what might reach out back and grab you into it. Like, and I'm like, did I have these fears before I read Stephen King, or was that put in my brain so young?
That's yeah. Several things on that. I have always played that game with myself. I'm with Georgie. If I'm sticking my hand in a dark, empty space with a basement, like looking for a light switch, and I don't know what's down there, and I can't see what's down there, I'm waiting for something to attack my hand while I'm looking for the light switch.
Absolutely. You are always assuming the worst until it's over.
Yeah. And at the same time, like let's say I'm walking up those steps and it's dark. I refuse to go fast, and I refuse to look back, no matter how fucking terrified I start to get. I'm like, nope, go slow. I make myself walk slower, and I make myself go up. And I don't know, I think most of that is probably Stephen King's fault.
Well, I wonder how many people do that, because I'm like, do any kids actually go faster then or look back? Because I'm like, that's how I was too. I'm like, it's also a part of the theory of if you show it fear, then it's more susceptible to be attacked. So
Well,
it's
for me,
like,
it was more. It was like it's all in your head. You know that's not actually there, so there's no reason to run up the fucking stairs. It's just made up phobias. Or maybe that's not the right word. But
you thought that as a kid?
no, I guess I'm thinking more as a teenager. Little kid, I don't really remember honestly.
I'm like,
Like,
maybe not as much in the last like 5 years or so, but definitely in my early 20s, like there were nights I slept with the closet light on and the bathroom light on because I'm like, nope, I do believe that this is real.
oh, if I'm in a dark hallway, yeah, I still do it now. They're like, nope, go slow, go slow. There's nothing back there. I'm like, what about that thing you just felt brush your shoulder? Like that was imaginary. It wasn't there.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I do kind of have, it's more of a, you have this panic, but in reality, it's just in your head.
Yeah, and sometimes it's almost fun to entertain it, because yeah, and that's the other thing I do. I'm like, what would you do if you turned around and there was something there? Like, oh my god, no.
Oh, I keep waiting for that to happen. Or when you look out the dark window and then there's a face looking back at you.
Right? Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, that's a good one too. Never thought of it. Yeah,
Oh,
like I'd probably just have a heart attack right there. That'd be the end of that.
I was out back once because we have a screen porch and all the windows were up and I wasn't playing any music or anything. I was just looking at something on my phone and all of a sudden I start hearing what sounds like footsteps because it's like leaves and stuff. So it's just crunch, 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 crunch. And my
Right.
heart stopped. As I was like, I didn't even think ghost or anything. I was like, oh my God, there's a person here and they're going to kill us. Like, what's going on? I'm like, that was real fear.
This is where your house.
Yeah, but it turns out it was a possum.
Right. I mean, that would be my first guess. It's an animal unless it starts to get
But
too big of a crunch.
it didn't sound like the way an animal would move. It sounded very like human, you know what I mean? And it's because possums are so slow.
You know this from the possum ranch that you have.
What do you mean?
I don't know, just kidding. The other thing, I don't think if I saw a clown in a fucking sewer, I'd want anything to do with it. I don't care how happy it was, if it was smelling like popcorn, and I don't know if that's because of Stephen King or just in general. It might be partly
I
his
think,
fault.
yeah, I was gonna say at the time, I don't think there was nearly as much of a negative image as there is now.
Yeah, like he's talking to this thing, and he's like, "Oh, well, they were friends." And then, well, I guess the movie's partly the fault because Skarsgård. I just don't. He's not a warm and cuddly clown in any way, shape, or form. Like when I see Jersey talking to him, I was like, "There's no way I would go in there. Hell no. Like, no. I'll talk to you from. Yeah, it's like COVID. Let's do the 6 foot rule.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what I would have done as a 6-year-old, honestly, because, you don't know what's real or not.
Yeah, well, I was a teenager before I even. And that's the other, I have my own watershed moment, as it were. So there's everything before that and everything after that. I don't remember. I don't know how to say it. Life was normal before my mom died. I don't remember all these things. I was just a kid, and then she died, and then I got into Stephen King, and then I got scared and stuff. So and like it, and I was 16 when it came out, so I was waiting for that one. I couldn't like new Stephen King book. Oh, let's go. Drag my dad to the
Yeah.
bookstore, and show him would buy Garfield, and I would buy Stephen King.
See, you're kind of like in between Stu and Jamie because I'm like Jamie, man. I grew up with it. I've been afraid of all of it since I feel like I was born.
Yeah, how old is Jamie? Is he your age? I felt like he
No,
was a
he's
little
definitely
older.
older than me. No offense to
Yeah.
Jamie.
Right. Shout out to Jamie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would actually like to talk to him when we do about growing up there. I never even thought about that. Like Stu, like like I was saying, Stephen King was creative with Stu, so he watched it happen. Kind of like me. Like I was there when the books came out, where by the time you got old enough to read them, they had already been established as you better read this.
Yep. Plus, I had a dad who got me into horror movies pretty young, so I already had lots of stuff in my head.
Despite Grammy's best efforts. She was never happy about that.
If she only knew the collection of movies that we had after we got to see.
Right? We're like, you never show up, and when you do, you scare the shit out of them.
Oh yeah, obviously it worked. Stuck with me.
Yeah, are you still scared of roller coasters?
I don't go on anything that's like up and down. Like if it has that much of a 90, is that 90 degrees? I don't even remember. Whatever. Straight down.
90 is straight up and down. I don't know that I've ever done that.
There's one like that at King's Dominion called the Intimidator. It's not straight up and down, but it may as well be. I mean, you may be at like a very slight angle.
They always feel like they're straight up and down, and then when you get off and look at it, you're like, oh, that wasn't even close.
No, this one, no.
Well, Michelle can't do them, so I was thinking about doing Hershey Park, but she won't go because it's just going to piss her off. So.
Yeah, I would go to Hershey Park. I mean, I'll go on most of them.
Or maybe we'll do that. Anyway, that's a different conversation. I don't know how I ended up there. Oh, because you were talking about horror movies.
Yeah.
Roller coasters.
But I think it's funny that you mentioned 16 because on page 12, that's where he specifically says that at the bottom where he's like, where he's talking about the clown. He's like, it looks like something made up, and he wouldn't have believed what he was seeing, but he was not 16. He was 6.
Yeah, well, it's funny he thinks that because at 16 it was no better. I get that. Well, maybe it was a little better. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have been reading it at 6. Yeah, he said everyone agreed the worst was over. I guess they were talking about the rain at that point. And I didn't realize Bill's dad was on the sandbag team. Little Zach Denbrough shout out.
Yeah, I started writing down character names so I can keep track of it.
Zach is the one, and I don't remember if this happens in the book because we haven't read that part yet. You remember in the movie, Bill's like building like a 3D model of the sewer system to figure out where Georgie is, and he comes in the garage and he's like, just stop, you're killing everybody with this nonsense.
Yeah, there's a horror scene using that model. I remember that.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Isn't there? Something goes wrong.
Well, there might be. Well, we're definitely watching one or both movies after we're done with this. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Might do another podcast on the movies.
I mean, we can definitely.
Yeah, it'll be different than the book. Okay, well, we're not making it very far.
I know. One thing though, page 7, he had already. Why did I write that? I have a note that says he already named it.
Oh, wait.
Oh, there it is at the bottom of page 7. He says. He's talking about what could happen. He says, then he would hear it, capital IT, something worse than all the commies and murderers in the world. Yeah,
Yeah.
Worse than the Jeps, worse than Attila the Hun, worse than the somethings in 100 horror movies. It, growling deeply.
Yeah, that I didn't realize, at least in his first part, he mentions it specifically many times, and he calls it.
Mm-hmm. Capital IT.
Right. I don't remember that. I don't know. I wasn't always the biggest fan of the name. Like, you couldn't come up with as many words as you put in this damn book. You couldn't come up with a name for it.
It's Stephen King. I mean, he doesn't really get to come up with these things. They just come out of him.
What he always says, it's not up to him. He's not the author. He's just a conduit. And I certainly know Stephen King, but I've done some writing. I know what he means. You just kind of write, and you're like, "Ooh, what about that?" And then, "Ooh, let's do that." Like the ideas just pop in, and you're trying to write them down before you forget them. I end up with pages of notes just so I don't forget what I wanted to do.
The next page, then the turtle is mentioned the first time as well. So I like that back to back.
I was happy about that, and I wonder if that was a rewrite, or you know what I mean? Was that there originally? I guess it doesn't matter. It's there now.
Yeah.
25 miles east of Derry is Bucksport, so that will give you a reference. Unless Bucksport's not a real town either. I wrote down I like the image of the dead guy on page 4, but I can't find it. I don't know where the dead guy is. So I'm looking at page 4 now.
Yeah, I don't know.
By noon of the 4th, I don't see it. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. Okay, the guy that they found after the flood, that's what I was talking about. He was, his car flooded
Oh, I
over or
see.
something, and
Yeah.
when they found him, he was like decaying, and his hands were still clamped on the steering wheel when they found him. I
Yeah.
thought that was pretty. I like that image.
I don't like the image, but it's descriptive.
The guy, bro, I always get that what if feeling when reaching in the dark for the light switch. Yeah, yeah, that's a good way to put it. I was pretty good at that. Yeah, that what if feeling. What if there is something coming up there your hand?
It still happens now when I'm in the bathroom and I accidentally turn off the light before I open the door, and then you're like, "Oh God, get out of here!"
It happens to me in any basement, even the one right there. And I know the only thing that, well, nothing in my
Well, that
basement are
basement.
spiders.
Yeah, I mean yours is. I've never even seen it, but it just looks creepy.
Well, yeah, it's not finished. It's all like cinder blocky and floor, crumpled floory. Yeah, if anything bad was going to happen, that would be a good place for it. So, Bill was good at seeing. I'm actually reading Billy Summers right now, and guess what? He's writing a book. Yeah.
Shocker.
Right? And he's not an author, but he's trying to write a book anyway. Like, oh my God. I know you're supposed to write what you know, but maybe you should learn some other stuff.
Somehow it still works for him though, so.
Yeah, I think it was Jay and Sean were laughing about how well read that Eddie is for a heroin junkie.
I mean, it could happen.
I mean, I was a well read coke junkie, so
Exactly.
I used to call myself the smartest drug addict I ever met. Yeah, I was definitely not your typical. Anyway, we're not getting into all that. He in those interminable moments while he was groping for the switch with his right hand, his left arm curled around the door jamb in a death grip, that cellar smell seemed to intensify until it filled the world. Smells of dirt and wet and long gone vegetables would merge into one unmistakable, and I don't even know that word, ineluctable smell. The smell of a monster, the apotheosis of all monsters. It was the smell of something for which he had no name. The smell of it, crouched, lurking, and ready to spring. A creature which would eat anything but was especially hungry for boy meat. He said it a lot better than I was trying to.
Mm-hmm.
That is the feeling you get when you put your light or your hand looking for that light switch. And he calls it out by name. Oh, that's the part you were talking about. Okay, I highlighted that.
I just realized that he called it out actually in the section that you just read. I don't know how I missed that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well then, yeah, and then the next page is where you were. You would hear it. Something worse than all the commies, murderers in the world, worse than the Japs, worse than Attila, worse than the Japs. Wow.
I know. I didn't even want to read it. I was like, oh God.
Yeah, there's a lot of cringy parts. Hey, it was the 80s, man. You were still allowed to beat your wife and all that.
Yeah, but I mean, World War II, it ended a long time ago.
Yeah, but well, there's a part in here where he calls them Indians instead of Native Americans. Like, oh, I need to send that to Sean. He would be pissed. Good luck trying to get that past the editor now. So it was a long time ago, and it wasn't at the same time ago. Yeah, an old can of turtle wax. For some reason, this can struck him, and he spent nearly 30 seconds looking at the turtle on the lid with a kind of hypnotic wonder. Yeah.
And then later, down the page, he says, that turtle, George thought. Going to the counter drawer where the matches were kept. Where did I see a turtle like that before?
Yeah, first of all, nowhere. George is what, 6'4"? No, he's 6, right?
Well, maybe he's implying that the turtle is either something within everyone, or you see maybe before, I don't know, you're born? I don't know.
Yeah, is the turtle helping him or influencing him? Because it's doing a horrible job, I gotta tell you.
Yeah,
And
that's a good point.
right, so if it's making him think of the turtle, and the turtle's like got some kind of pull here, that tells me that the spider is much stronger than the turtle. Which maybe is, we already know that if we think about it, because the turtle can't get him to stop coming back. He
I
needed
was
a
gonna
bunch of
say, Spider's been
12-year-olds to
winning
do that.
for 100 years, 200
More than
years. Yeah,
Hell, just in the first interlude, I think it goes back to 1849, something like that.
17. I thought it was 17 something.
Oh, there
Maybe
was
you're
a
right.
17. Yeah, we didn't get there yet. We'll do the history at the end. I like the history stuff. We might have to write that.
We're never gonna
History.
get to the end.
Well, I know. I'm on like page 10. It's been a half hour.
Uh-huh.
Hey, man. I mean, even without other people, I knew this was going to take a while. There's a lot that happens in every section of this book.
Yeah.
Your a-hole is bigger than Augusta. I'm not sure why I highlighted that. Other than Augusta was near where we were, maybe. For Elise, like, think of the one song you can think of, and it's probably that one.
Well, you're talking to the wrong person, but maybe anyone else.
No, you know that song.
I know that song. Yeah, that's why it's not the one
yeah.
song that I think of.
Oh, you went the other way. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Not you, but like that's the Jeopardy strategy. When they ask a question, it's the one thing that you can think of on about that topic. That's probably the answer.
Yeah, no, I get that. But it does seem the questions they ask seem so obscure.
Oh, there's plenty of obscure Jeopardy stuff. My mother was playing that today. Georgie out. Him and his stupid. Guess what's about to happen? In case anyone in the world doesn't know at this point. Well, I guess they didn't know when he wrote it. But...
Isn't that what's the first section called? Georgie, something about his boat. Okay,
After
maybe.
the flood.
Oh yeah. No. What did
Yeah.
it just...
It's definitely called that.
Where
The
did
shadow
no.
before. Georgie is after the flood because
right.
That's where all the water is coming from. Yeah, that Witcham and Jackson. Jamie mentioned that several times. It seems much busier in the book than it does in real life. I guess he's allowed to do that. And how far was that intersection from his house? Did he used to walk over there? Didn't he say that? That's how he saw it because it was on his like walking route.
Yeah. But it wasn't that far. I mean, you could see.
I don't remember. I felt like it was further away, but maybe not.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I mean, he also walked a lot.
6 miles a day.
Just to get hit by a car.
Right, just to go nowhere. Says on page 12. I don't know if your book syncs with mine. What's the top of page 12? Does it say done for a long time?
Oh no, that makes sense.
Yep.
Sprawling, skinning one knee, and crying out in pain.
All right. Well, there's a part right before 3. For me, it's like this part. It's page 12. It starts on 11. He did something he hadn't done for a long time. Something Phil never forgot. He leaned over and kissed his brother's cheek. And I wrote down like, except he did, and pretty quickly. He forgot all about Drew because they somewhere in this part it talks about how when all the losers left Derry, and I think Bill left in the not long after this, like in the 60s. So and then it was like as soon as they got out of Derry, they forgot. They were like, "Fuck Derry."
I mean, but that's not their fault. I feel like that's partially the spider.
Oh, I'm not saying that's their fault. I'm just saying it was like as soon as they got out of the
or all the spider
Pennywise's range, they forgot. Because Mike never forgot because he stayed there.
Right. That's got to be horrible.
Yeah, no shit. Like I would like to move away and forget all that awful stuff too. So
And
Georgie
not
follows
only
the boat.
that, but then he has to call them all back.
Yeah, right. Like who? Oh, yeah. Like I was 12 when I made that promise. I didn't really mean it. That's what I was thinking the whole time. Like these people all came flying back, like dropped what they were doing and ran back over something they said that they don't even remember agreeing to 30 or 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 27 years ago
Something that was,
when they
I
were
can't remember
kids.
exactly where they said it, but somebody brought up a good point I never thought about before, that they kind of did some kind of, I know it's just a blood pact. Well, who knows if they're also including the other incident, but they could have performed some kind of ritual unknowingly over that land, like that ties them to it, almost like maybe they don't have a choice. Maybe that's why Stan really felt he had to kill himself, because he just couldn't go back, and he couldn't not go back.
I guess we need to. This isn't going to be a spoiler-free book. I don't think.
Oh, I would imagine. I mean, that's true.
I just don't think we have that capacity without our third that hasn't read it. I don't think we can sit here and talk about it without going all over the place. So
Yeah, that's true.
I'll just say it's mostly spoiler free, but stuff gets through. Or maybe I'm not gonna do much editing on this. So, you know, if we say something stupid, just let me know and I'll mark down the time, because you're going to that thing tonight. So I'm pretty much just gonna publish this when we're done.
You don't. I mean, I doubt I'm gonna play it tonight.
Yeah, I don't feel like it. It's like I gotta,
Yeah.
you know, I'm doing the doctoral stuff now, so I gotta, you know, paper a section of my dissertation to write by tomorrow night and all that too. So like I'm not spending a lot of time on it.
Cool.
All right, so Georgie chases the boat to Witcham and Jackson. I like that, and like the initial. I tried to recreate how I felt the first time I read this. Like he's chasing the boat, having a good time. It's raining, splashing in the rain, and the boat is in the rain, and you're like, "Oh shit!" And then something says "hi" from where the boat went. Like, what the fuck is that? There's something in the drain. It says hi. What does it say? He blinked and looked again. He could barely credit what he saw. Like, yeah, that's the feeling. What? What? Okay, what the fuck are you? And why are you in that drain? And how did you get in there? Because, well, he does say that.
You can crawl in there.
Was it that big?
I mean, I don't know if he's picturing like a typical one, like the ones on the side where they're open, because you can, I mean, or well, you can also open the top of it. Or the one in real life, I would imagine it just comes open.
Yeah, see, that was a different one. The one I'm picturing is more like the movie where it was built into the curb.
Right. But don't they open on the top?
Oh yeah, there might be a thing in the sidewalk or something that get to access it.
Somehow I know people can get in, because I remember my friends used to go there and get, like, things would fall down and they would grab it.
Wow, I don't think I ever did that. We used to go, like, we used to hang out in tunnels that led to the sewers, but we never actually went to the sewers. And that was before I read it. That was when I was 15 and started smoking pot. That was like the play. We would walk to Wawa and get like 12 bucks of matches because nobody had a lighter. Hang out and smoke these are the big ones. Like you didn't have to duck. They were like big round.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like open tunnels almost. Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually how we got to Wawa. That's how we knew about it. Remember our third was saying, "Ew," in the sewer, like, "Ew," like just shut up, you shelter. I'm not gonna bring that up because there's not gonna be any positive things to say. So
you already did bring it up.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna bring it up again.
What I'm in this section the whole time, I was just picturing the first Pennywise, Tim Curry. He's like, "Hi, Georgie." Like
he does it. I mean, Skarsgård's good, but Tim Curry's so iconic.
Yeah, I agree.
And like the way like with Tim Curry, I can see him being both evil and good at the same time. And
Yeah,
maybe
because he's not like scary looking. He's just weird looking.
yeah. Whereas Skarsgård to me is just scary looking.
Yeah, I definitely get that.
There's nothing like if I'm 6-year-old Georgie, I could see me actually talking to Pennywise, but I can't see me talking to. And I'm sorry, I can see me talking to Tim Curry. I can't see me talking to Tim. Bill
Skarsgård.
Skarsgård or Alex Van. Wait, which one is it? It's Bill, right?
It's Bill.
Yeah, can't keep them guys apart. They're like rodents, man. They're everywhere.
Alex plays Flag, right?
Okay, which one plays Castle Rock? I think it's
I've
Bill.
never seen it.
I think it's Bill. You should watch that. It's pretty cool.
Anyway, all right, move on.
Yeah, and that's the Howdy Doody was the clown reference. That's all they had at the time, I guess. The face was white, 20 tufts of red hair on either side, and a big clown smile. Ronald McDonald, clown hell. See, he doesn't describe his thing yet, but at some point he says, like, Tim Curry actually looks nothing like what he described in the book. Skarsgård looks like he's supposed to, but I gotta tell you, I like the colorful Pennywise better.
Mm-hmm.
What does Stephen King know? And the balloons were all different colors. That red balloon has been such an iconic image. Hell, I text it when I'm talking about it. I just text the balloon. I don't even need to say it.
Yeah, right. Well, does he actually see the balloons though? Because he just is talking about them.
The clown held a bunch of balloons, all colors, like gorgeous ripe fruit in one hand.
Oh.
And the other, he held George's newspaper book. For me, that's the bottom of 13. I don't know where.
No, I got it. Yeah, that's the top of 13 for me.
They were. And the eyes keep changing colors. First, he thought they were yellow. Now they're blue. I didn't remember that. Oh, that's the part I'm talking about. So for me, it's on 14. Very wise indeed. Therefore, I will introduce myself. I, Georgie, am Mr. Bob Gray, known as Pennywise, the dancing clown.
Yeah. I remember that.
Now, I don't know. Do I spoil that? Let's just say Bob Gray is a character from another book that makes it.
How is that a spoiler? Is he not known in that book?
Well, if you haven't read that book, that's how it's a spoiler, I guess.
You don't know that he's a bad guy or what? I mean, don't you know he's a character?
You don't know that Pennywise is. I'm scared to say it. You don't know. You don't know that they're the same person. You don't know that the bad guy is Pennywise.
Oh, I didn't know that that's what you were insinuating to begin with. I just thought it was a call out.
Yeah, no, he calls himself Bob Gray, the exact. I mean, we're probably never going to get to Dreamcatcher.
I don't remember that book. Yeah, I don't remember the book well enough anyway.
It's the whole time is like, watch out for Mr. Gray, watch out for Mr. Gray. Remember? Then they're like, when they were kids, and he was like, watch out for Mr. Gray, but he was talking about 30 years later when they were adults. And at some point, Mr. Gray calls himself Bob Gray. It's the same exact name. So Pennywise, or a version of Pennywise, is Bob Gray.
Yeah.
In Dreamcatcher.
Cool.
So there's a whole. So yeah.
I'm just not a big fan of the story.
A lot of people aren't. I liked it. Like I said, I like the whole in his head argument. Like the alien's in his head, but he locks himself parts of his head away from the alien. And like in the movie, they show him like with a hand cart, and he's moving files around, hiding them from the alien. I don't. Maybe we should watch the movie. Like the first half, the second half, where like they get in the internment camp and they're chasing it, like that's okay. But the first half, like the build up is great as always. Pennywise has a baggy silk suit with great big orange buttons. So he's got the orange buttons, a bright tie, electric blue, flopped down his front. I've never seen a tie in any way, shape, or form.
Well, how do you have a tie with big buttons? That doesn't work.
It's a good question.
He's getting
He's
too caught
wearing
up
a
in
baggy
detail.
silk suit with, well, he didn't say pom-poms. He just said big orange buttons.
Oh, I guess that's true. I was picturing the movie, so it's just a big flat.
Right.
But still, the tie would cover it, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, but it would move around. You'd be able to see both. What he saw was terrible enough to make his worst imaginings of the thing in the cellar look like sweet dreams. What he saw destroyed his sanity in one clawing stroke. So this is right after the clown sees his arm.
And I never thought about, like, I'm sure I did, but that's why people go insane if they survive, is because of what they saw.
Yeah, that happens a lot in Stephen King world. They see something and they're never the same. Like they never get their sanity back. Well, I don't know. I guess that would happen to some people, but
What do you mean? That's the whole point of trauma. I mean, not point. That's not. That's
well,
what we're learning about how trauma affects people.
right. Well, a lot of people have the ability to get past it and still live a normal life.
Yeah, a lot of people don't live in Derry, you know.
Well, right. That's unless you're in a lot of people don't live in a Stephen King book.
Thank God for that.
Yeah, right. So where's the first float?
It's on. I was just looking at it there. Well, mine is the top of 14, so probably the bottom of 14 for you.
Is that the first float though?
That's
because Georgie asked him where the balloons. If the balloons float, he's like, "Oh yeah, they float." And then he eats his arm, and he's like, "They float."
Yeah. For me, it's the top of 14. Well, okay, bottom of 13, and a balloon. I've got red and green and yellow and blue. ... Do they float?
Okay.
Float. The clown's grin widened. Oh yes, indeed they do. They float. And there's cotton candy. Weird.
Who cares about the cotton candy?
Yeah.
Well, that was before, Pennywise wasn't Pennywise at the time.
But it's still a weird question for him to ask. Like, I guess he means, do the balloons, like, are they in the air? But isn't he looking at them already? Like, because balloons don't, I wouldn't really consider them floating. I guess that is what they do, but for me, that's in water.
Nah, well, no, you can float in the air. I mean, I don't know. At this point, I don't know if I know that because of him or I just know that,
Yeah.
Did I say balloons floated before I read it? I don't know.
But I always just assumed he meant water. Like, I forgot that this all started because he was asking about the balloons.
Yeah. Well, no, I knew that every time I said, yeah. I mean, well, he also says everything down here floats.
Oh, I didn't even pick up on that. You're right. Which is strange.
Yeah. I don't even know.
I
don't even know what to make of that, so I'm not going to overthink that.
Yeah, there's too many things coming to my head. And I'm like, does that mean they're all dead or they're all in, like, floating around?
Well, first question, what's down there? And
balloon?
like what is it that's floating down there? And if you're in a sewer and you're floating, there's a lid. You can only, like, a floating
unless
balloon.
You're floating in the water.
Oh, we're back to that.
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of like a double meaning.
I mean, maybe because there is the flood and there's water everywhere. So, yeah. Anyway, everything floats, and we're only on page.
We're all gonna die.
Right. A knob of bone, horribly right, peeked through the torn cloth. And people watched him get his arm ripped off and didn't do anything. Fucker.
Well, it doesn't say.
No, they did do something at first.
Yeah, it doesn't say that they watched him get his arm pulled off. It just says, like, it was happening, and Dave Gardner, who had stayed home from his job at the shoeboat that day because of the flood, saw only a small boy in a yellow rain slicker, a small boy who was screaming and writhing in the gutter with muddy water surfing over his face and making his screams sound bubbly. He was the first to get there, and although he arrived only 45 seconds after the first scream, George Denver was already dead.
Dave Gardner, is that the paragraph you're reading?
Mm-hmm. So he didn't, I mean, it might have been, he probably should have said, hey, don't play in front of that sewer, little boy, but, it's not his kid.
His screams were shrill and piercing, and all up and down Wickham Street, people came to their windows or bolted out onto their porches.
It says he was the first to get there. Doesn't mean he was the only one to get there.
No, but I mean, there was yeah, but he doesn't say anybody else showed up. It's like, so all these people just looked and went about their business? Because if they did, that's Derry.
It's very possible, yeah, either way. I do, for some reason, I got the impression that there were at least a few people who had come to try to save. I don't know if he talks about it later or something. Like, it's more... Huh?
Say that again?
I said, I do get the impression that there were at least a few people that came to try to save him. And I don't know if it's because he talks about it again later or if something else gets mentioned later. But it's to me, the bad in Derry is much more of a, like, they're not going to, no, that's not true. I was going to say they're not going to ignore something if they see it happening, but that's not true at all.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people saw Georgie die, and they do that in the movie, I think, too. Doesn't she go back to like hanging her clothes or something?
Oh yeah, I think it's much more of the like, well, this is just normal. That's bad about it, not necessarily that they're gonna let children die.
Where's the Penobscot? Well, not that they let them die, but like it's a culture of ignorance. They just ignore it.
Right.
Like even in 11/22/63, it says something about that. It's just a culture of ignorance. They just people don't see in Derry or something like that.
Well, we learn later on, I think, when he's talking about the history, about the murder statistics in Derry and the people children that go missing compared to the rest of the world or county. Wow. Country. Can't talk.
One of those things.
Yeah. Probably all.
And I don't know why, but I liked following the boat at the very end of George's part. Like, the boat dipped and swayed, sometimes took on water, but didn't sink. Two brothers had waterproofed it well. They don't know where it finally fetched up. If it ever did, perhaps it reached the sea and sails there forever, like a magic boat in a fairy tale. All I know is that it was still afloat and still running on the breast of the flood when it passed the incorporated town limits of Derry, Maine, and there it passes out of this tale forever. I don't know. It's like that imagery and the
Well, I think it's an interesting addition considering I think it's the movie that doesn't he use the found boat later on to try to track where it is staying?
I don't remember. We gotta watch that movie.
Something about that where it's like the paper boat, they end up finding it later on like somewhere, and he's like, well, wait, maybe George is there too, or something. The thing that killed George, not George, obviously he knows he's dead, but and that's why he makes that model.
Well, he knows he's in the sewer, obviously, because they never find his body. They just find his arm, I think, right?
Okay, that's what it is. But I'm pretty sure they find the boat, and that's how the whole thing starts. For him, his obsession, I mean.
Yeah, and then, like it says, his dad works for the sewer department, so that has something to do with it too.
So it's interesting to me that in the book it says that it just floats on out into existence somewhere, but in the movie it kind of becomes part of the plot.
Yeah, we'll have to watch the movie. I don't remember. I don't remember the boat being like when they go back. You mean 27 years later? The boat's like a talisman or something?
No, like that it was found like evidence later on.
Yeah, I didn't remember that. Yeah, well, we'll have to watch the movie.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm not saying it didn't happen.
It's not.
I haven't actually watched the movie since it came out.
I haven't watched it since we watched it.
Yeah, we'll have to do that again. Get Michelle in on that one because I don't think she's seen the part that one. All right, so Georgie gets his arm ripped off and passes out of this tale forever, in a manner of speaking. He's talked about a lot, but he's not in the book anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go to chapter 2 after the festival. Maybe our favorite part of the book, I have to say. Then again, maybe not. I don't know how much time to actually spend on this. I think the whole point in okay, so after the festival is Adrian Mellon getting murdered by a bunch of, I don't know, shithole townies.
Which was based off a true story.
I guess we do need to talk about that.
Well, I was trying to see when was this written in 81, so that's probably also part of what this is him, bringing attention to that.
There's no way this was written in 81, just so you know.
Okay, when was it written?
Chapter 2 is called After the Festival, 1984.
I mean, the actual book.
I think, well, it was published in 86, so I guess he wrote, so probably in 83, 84 is when he was writing it, I would say.
And Charles O. Howard, who is the person that this is based off of, was killed in Maine in 1984.
Wow, you pulled that name? Did you record that or something?
I looked it up.
I wouldn't remember that. So yeah, so Charles Howard so do you know the story? Maybe you should tell it.
Well, I mean, it's actually pretty not far from what happened in the book. I'm actually just going to read it off of Wikipedia now because I don't remember everything.
Okay.
As Howard and his boyfriend, Roy Ogden, were walking down the street, 3 teenagers, aged 16, 15, and 17, harassed, assaulted, and murdered Howard for being gay. The youth chased the couple, yelling homophobic epithets until they caught Howard and threw him over the State Street Bridge into the Kentuskig? I can't remember how to say that.
Kentuskig? Yeah, something like that.
Kentuskig stream, despite his pleas that he could not swim. He drowned, but his boyfriend was able to swim away and escaped and pulled a fire alarm. Charlie Howard's body was found by rescue workers several hours later.
So his boyfriend was in the stream too?
Mm-hmm. I guess that's what it says.
They threw them both? What horrible people.
I also thought it was interesting that he used similar ages too. Like, there's a lot of similarity.
Yeah, except the 2 were adults because they got fucked for life. And the one guy, Don Haggerty's, the one that was like 15 just got probation. The other 2 got like life or something.
Yeah, but they were, wait, hold on. I can't remember how old they were. They were not that, I mean, it was like 18 and 19.
So anyway, well, yeah, they weren't, they were just old enough to go away for life. They weren't like 25 or anything. I think wow, it's really close to what actually happened. All he did really was add in some Pennywise-y stuff.
Oh, actually, so they did not throw his boyfriend over. Wow, this is so close to what happened. As pouncing on Charlie, the boys began beating and kicking him. Baines shouted to throw Charlie over the bridge and grabbed him by the legs. Baines and Ness grabbed Charlie and they began lifting him, pleading for his life. He grabbed the rail and begged him not to throw him in the river as he could not swim. Prying his hand loose, they pitched him over the rail, with Mabry giving the final push. The boys returned to the car and they saw his boyfriend there. They threatened him not to tell anyone, so he escaped from them and ran to pull a fire alarm to get help.
So they just killed his boyfriend and they thought telling him not to tell anyone would be enough?
Well, they were 15, 17, and 16.
Yeah.
Maybe they thought the threat would be enough.
Testosterone can be evil, can it? Jeez.
But that's also exactly what happened in, I don't know if it's in the movie, but I remember that scene where he's like holding on to the railing and they're like, grab his legs, and they push him over. And
I don't remember that in the book. I don't remember him grabbing the railing.
It's not in the book, I don't think, but I remember that from one of the movies.
Yeah, Unwin, I think, is a 15-year-old. Yeah, so it's pretty much exactly what happened, except let's throw in some clowns and balloons and call it a day.
Right. So, I mean, and what's interesting is that means technically Pennywise didn't kill him. I mean, maybe he did in this story, but in real life, he drowned. So maybe he was already dead.
Well, right. In real life, Pennywise didn't kill him.
In the story, he may not have even killed him either, is what I'm saying.
I
think it's implied that he did.
I think it's implied that while he didn't kill him, they acted the way they did because of his influence.
Oh, I didn't get that at all. I thought they were just being shit.
The whole point part in the book, that's what makes Mike decide that it's back. and he has to
What?
call it.
That's not what I thought. I thought it was because of the reports of the clown.
Well,
I didn't think Pennywise was influencing them at all. I think that's the way they were acting.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I don't mean consciously. I mean, like, I guess the way he influences Derry in general.
Well, okay, sure, but I think that this could have happened whether or not he is hibernating, is my point.
Well, yes, it could have, but
Actually,
I
it did
think-
happen because it happened in real life.
right. That's even more horrible. That this actually happened. It's almost unbelievable to wrap your head around that people would be that way. But I don't, when did
Especially
it
in
happen?
Maine,
Yeah, like
1984.
that's when they killed the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit! So he even did the same exact year.
Yep. That's what I was saying. I think he's paying tribute to Charlie Howard
Yeah, I think he is. He definitely
in a strange
yeah.
way.
Well, yeah, but yeah, he is paying tribute to him because like Jamie said, by putting this in the book, he called attention to the real events that happened and started the conversation about how fucked up that was, and Bangor ever since has been a very what do you call it, welcoming place if you're not just gay, but I guess you say LGBTQ. Say that LGBTQ. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, see, I think that's what I did. I think there's another one now after the Q, or there's
but
a
you can
question
say
mark or a
plus. You play say plus, yeah.
So Bangor's been very welcoming. I would say because of Stephen King and what's his first name?
Charlie.
And Charlie Howard, obviously in a way he didn't anticipate, but because of the two of them, you got rainbows on all the construction barriers, which I think is fucking awesome. I love that.
I loved it. Was everything. I mean, we were there in the middle of July, and at the time I was just thinking, oh, they must not have taken everything down from Pride, because Pride Month is June.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, well, it's July. Pride Month was last month. Not a big deal.
He told us the story from Jamie. I was like, oh my god, that makes so much sense, because there are Pride flags everywhere, like you said, the construction barriers, the crosswalks on the streets are rainbows. Like, it's just, I wish every place could be like that. Yeah. Maybe not rainbows everywhere, that's a lot of color, but as welcoming.
Well, hopefully someone doesn't have to get horribly murdered from to be welcoming in other places too.
And it's interesting that Stephen King really, well, like you said, he probably didn't realize the effect that would have. But what I was going to say, that he took that so harshly. Maybe
I think
it was
between him and...
I was just going to say, because it was in his hometown.
Yeah, I think him and Tabby are... Tabitha, I don't know what the right word to call her. Stu calls her Tabby, so I end up doing it. But I think between the two of them, they're pretty progressive people. I think she may be even more than him. So, I mean, she might have been like, hey, maybe he was like talking to her about how to start it coming back, and maybe the idea came from her.
Oh yeah, that's a
like
good
point. When he was writing this book, it was happening, or when, like, I almost feel like he had to go back in later and add that scene.
He probably did,
because if he was writing this in '84, it happened in '84. Like, I find it a little unbelievable that he would be writing it as it, like, right after it happened. That feels like a little too raw to do that.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So maybe like before he published it, when he was maybe on his rewrite, because every book he does has at least one rewrite, which sounds awful to me. But now I understand why you have to do it, because that takes even longer than writing it. He added it in, but either way, it's there. So it's amazing how it's almost like, how did he not get in trouble? Because that's dead on exactly what happened.
I mean, how many times have we read this and, well, known about the story, and that was the first time I even knew that had happened in Maine.
I don't remember Stu talking about it was
He
based on a
didn't.
really. Yeah. Okay.
But also, were there rainbows there when we went to Bangor the first time? Second time even?
There had to have been.
Yeah, how come we didn't notice that?
Maybe we did. I don't remember. I have to look at my pictures. I don't feel like. I don't know. I guess they had to have been there, and we had to have noticed it. But it was probably, again, it was probably not long after Pride Month. So hey, we went what, September last time, June. Oh, it's a little far, but I don't. We didn't notice it, or we did and we forgot. So that's the answer to that. So Adrian, I think because he threatens the one guy's masculinity, gets his ass killed.
And I can very much believe that, especially when you got a group of teenage boys who are afraid of looking like scared in front of each other.
Yeah, or gay. Don't
Or
threaten
gay.
the man.
Right. I forgot about that. That would be
And
horrible.
I think that's what it was. He was like, hey, it's something. I forget what he said. I have so much highlighted. I'm not going to try to get through it all. But the one guy wore 2 heavy rings when they were beating him. A lot of people wear big rings in Stephen King books when they beat people.
Maybe Stephen King got hit by someone with a ring.
Well, that's what I was telling my significant other before this. Like, a lot of people are really evil. Because I was watching the beginning of it, and Bev is sitting in the toilet with a big purse on top of her head, and the girls are dumping like sewage water on top of her. I'm like, my God, like Stephen King people, the bullies in Stephen King books are really, really bad. And the Stephen King companion that I'm reading says he used to get, like, his teacher, they had a quote that he used to get bullied bad all the time. In fact, there was a tree that like 4 guys used to hide behind and wait for him to walk by and jump out and scare the living shit out of him like every day.
Jesus.
Well, no wonder he hates bullies, and no wonder his bullies are as evil as they are.
No wonder he made up the town of Derry.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's almost like he took his experiences and just said, what if they'd have took it too far? And that's like every bully he's ever created.
Like that makes sense, though.
Yeah, like Henry.
That's how his brain works.
That's this book, so I'm not going to talk about Henry Bowers just yet.
Well, I was just going to say that's what happened with Pet Sematary. Like what would happen if that actually happened and it took it too far? So that I could actually absolutely believe that.
Who's the bully in Pet Sematary?
No. That the idea of, oh man, what would happen if my son actually got hit by a truck, and then what would I do if I was able to save him or whatever?
Yeah, I mean,
that's how his brain works.
That was on Judd, because you don't tell someone whose kid just died that there's a cemetery that brings people back or brings things back.
Judd is not acting on his own. It's the Wendigo.
Oh, so now the Wendigo's Toad Ash too?
Yes. What do you think? The Wendigo's normal?
I know the Wendigo's the New England ghosty thing.
Toad Ash means it could be from anything. So.
Yeah, I just wrote. There's a part here where the buildings of Main Street loomed dark and secret. No one came to help, not even from the one white island of light which marked the bus station. And he did not see how that could be. There were people in there. He had seen them when he and Aide walked past. Would none of them come to help? None at all? Like, there you go. No, they won't.
I mean, that could happen just normally, especially then, because they're gay.
There's the famous, what's the girl in New York in the 70s? Kitty or Patty something? Got murdered in the street with like all the people looking out their windows while it happened and nobody did anything.
Well, yeah, that also, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of things, but also, there's the bystander effect where everybody thinks somebody else is going to do something, so you don't do anything.
Right. Well, nobody wants to get murdered themselves, but you can make a phone call. Oh my God.
Exactly. Yeah, you can call the police, but that's exactly what happens. Is everybody thinks, well, surely someone else has already called, so I don't need to do anything.
Right. Like, I don't want to be in the courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
Help! They're killing him! Help! And then it's like, And then Pennywise is like making fun of him. He's like, "Help!" A very small voice.
I know.
And then there was a giggle. Help! I just wrote a balloon on that part. I didn't even highlight it. I just drew a balloon. See,
When
that's
I
how
first read the
iconic.
giggle, when I first read that giggle part, I misread it and I was like, why would Dawn giggle? And then I was like, oh, right, got it.
Yeah, they've been laughing while they beat him up. Bums rush over the side.
Oh, maybe it was from the book.
Well, it doesn't say. Help, the small voice said again. The rings tore Adrian's upper lip, shattered 3 of his teeth. What's the guy who beats up Nick? Soames, Roy Soames. Wait, is that right? No.
I think it is Roy.
Is it Soames?
I don't remember her last name.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, he had a big ass ring too.
Yeah, he did.
Nick was down to his last fucking eye. He couldn't see, couldn't hear, couldn't talk. Fuck.
And he was still
and
my
then
favorite.
He died because Stephen King was bored and didn't know what to fucking do with him.
Yeah, I don't know why Nick couldn't have gone. Oh wait, no, Stu's the only one that survived. That's right. Yeah.
Couldn't you put Franny in the fucking house or something?
Or she was pregnant. Duh. Yeah. Like, why did they send her?
That's why he did. They could have had someone else pregnant. Maybe Nadine. Oh, Nadine was pregnant.
All right. Anyway, we're getting started.
Yeah, right. Different book. Same amount of pages, different book. The smile painted over the white pancake was red, not orange. The eyes a shiny silver. That just frames his mouth. I just picture that red. Is he red in the movie? I don't remember. I don't think he had anything, did he?
What do you mean?
He basically had a red ring around his mouth. White makeup with a red ring around it.
He did.
Wore a baggy suit, big orange
Tim Curry
pom-pom.
did.
Yeah, he had a red ring.
Well, he had lipstick on, if that's what he means.
Look, so Pennywise must have really liked what Georgie asked him, because when he kills Adrian, he says it to Don. You need help, Don. Help yourself to a balloon. They float, the clown said. Down here, we all float. Pretty soon, your friend will float too.
See, that's why I always thought it was kind of a weird question to ask. Like, the first thing you see when you see a balloon, or the first thing you ask when you see a balloon is, do they float? Like, what?
Well,
especially if you're looking at it floating.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't dwell too much on that. Yeah.
I'm not dwelling on it. It's just strange
it's
to
a little
me
bit
because
of
that's a whole theme.
It's a little bit of a misnomer, I guess, is the word for that.
Yeah.
Because if he's staring at the balloons, he knows they float. So, but then, yeah, like the next page, Pennywise is acting like he can't see the balloons. So, I don't know, maybe he couldn't see them anymore or something like that. Because he's telling them the colors of the balloons, like.
That's why I asked, did he actually see them?
Well, I don't know, maybe he didn't. I don't know. But if I'm sitting at home and I get a pack of balloons from the dollar store and I blow them up myself, they don't float. So it's not
in air.
Right, they'll float. Well, I don't have a stream running past my house.
You don't need a stream to get a pool of water. You have a tub.
Yeah, you keep going float in water. I'm not getting that at all. I'm just float. When he says
float, and people float, everything floats. That's the only time I've ever heard it used is water.
Balloons float.
Okay, yeah, obviously we've been talking about that. Thank you. Give me another example of things that's not water.
Blimps.
I guess Macy's. Yeah, well, I was gonna say Macy's Day Parade float. That's the only time I've ever heard that used.
But they're not actual. Oh, yeah, they are floats. Yeah. Macy's. I thought the float was like the thing going down the street, and then.
It is because it's floating, so it's called a float. I don't know.
But then they have the things up in the air, but they don't call them float. Yeah, whatever.
Those are balloons.
Oh, see, that's why they float. It all goes back to that. You can't get away from it. Yeah, the cops he called you by name. Like they were with him until you started talking about the clown, and they were like, okay, this guy's and then they're like, yeah, he's just a cocksucker anyway, so who cares? Like even the cops were like dismissive because of their lifestyle. Jeez, man.
That is very much the attitude of the 80s too. I'm no not if women didn't even have rights yet, you think gay people did?
Well, no, they didn't. They definitely didn't. But I mean, I don't know. We weren't that way, but I guess I don't remember. Apparently, there was a lot of things. I mean, I remember
How many
in the
gay people did you
90s,
know?
a couple.
Okay,
I mean,
that's more than I thought you were gonna say.
Well, in the 80s, even I mean, like in the 90s, when I was in Baltimore after your mom, I got a job in the gay part of Baltimore. I was a bartender at one of the gay bars. It was one of the funnest fucking jobs I ever had, man. It was just, it wasn't even the partying, it was just the attitude. Like they were always happy and having fun. Well, not all, but for the most part, everybody there was happy and having fun. And I think it was just people enjoying life more than like, I mean, I don't want to make divisions, but like the homosexual crowd seemed much happier than the heterosexual crowd.
Well, how many of the heterosexual crowd is hiding who they are?
Well, I don't know if it's that or it's just that they were out in the open and they were allowed to be who they were. At least in that like part of town, there was no persecution or judgment.
That's what I meant. People who are hiding who they are have a lot more resentment and anger built up.
Yeah, I don't know that you could say everyone was secretly gay that was heterosexual.
I'm not saying everyone is secretly gay. I'm saying on average, especially then when it was not okay, really, or not as accepted to come out, the heterosexual crowd is not going to be as fun because you have plenty of people in there who are repressing their desires.
Maybe. I don't think it was that rampant. I mean, there may have been some. I think they were just not rampant. Well, maybe that's a bad way to say that. I'm sorry.
Well, no, it's not. It's just, it doesn't even matter.
I don't think that most of the people I knew that were unhappy because they were secretly gay. I just think they were probably hiding other stuff. And that's the point I'm trying to make. I think they were happier because they were finally free and they weren't actually hiding anything at all. They were being exactly who they wanted to be at all times. And I can imagine.
Unlike the heterosexual population.
Yeah. I mean, everybody hides something. But I don't think necessarily all the people I knew that were hetero were hiding.
That wasn't at all what I said.
What do you mean? You keep saying unlike the heteros.
Because by nature, especially at the time, there were probably a lot of people who were not out, even though they would have preferred to be.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that nowadays, like, the populations are,
well, all I'm
more
saying
or less
is,
happy. Doesn't matter.
all I'm saying is the people I knew, I don't think that was what their issue was. But maybe.
How would you know that, though?
Just a judgment. I'm not going to say I knew for certain, but I don't. Some I would say, I knew some homophobes, and I used to say that to them. I was like, "You're
gay." I'm also not saying that all unhappy people are unhappy because they're secretly gay.
No, just the hetero ones.
No, you're saying that maybe.
That's what it sounded like you were saying.
No, not at all.
All right, let's get off of that. So yeah, I knew a bunch, and I can remember Clinton in the '90s had to pass the "Don't Ask, Don't Tell" bullshit because it was Republican Congress, so he couldn't get a bill passed to allow. I don't even want to say gays, but I don't know what non-heteros into military. So he had to pass a "Don't Ask, Don't Tell" stupid bill, and that was in the '90s. So in the '80s,
yeah,
I can imagine how bad it was. But they should have went to Baltimore, Mount Vernon. I can't remember the name of the place I worked. It was 2 bars that were famous. They're across the street from each other.
You think those people were ever in jeopardy coming away from the bars?
No, well, there was more than that, but those were the two big ones. Like it was like 4 or 5 blocks that were like uh known for homosexuals to hang out, the men and the women. Um, so like half the servers would wear. I don't know if that's still a thing, but at the time, yeah, you had the symbol for the men and the symbol for the women. One's like a arrow with a circle, and one's I think a cross with a circle. Maybe is that right? You have any idea what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the symbols for male and female.
Yeah,
I just
like
don't remember exactly which is which, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
the women used to wear shirts that had the two crosses like intertwined. Like it was like it was how they said they were gay without like shouting it.
How is that not shouting?
Well, I don't know. A lot of them did it. It was like what they could get away with at the time without being totally
harassed.
Yeah.
Probably because homophobic people aren't smart enough to know what that means.
Probably. They're not known as the intelligent crowd, that's for sure. All right. So, yeah. Adrian dies. Oh, and by the way, so Don starts talking about the balloons under the bridge. I think they're all red at this point. So the bridge I'm picturing that Jamie showed us, didn't he show us where the guy died, basically? The canal, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's say it was the canal, and then you can see the bridge because the street goes over it. I don't see thousands of balloons fitting under that bridge. I gotta tell you. In fact, I wrote down that's a lot of goddamn balloons.
Yeah, I do remember thinking that's too many balloons, especially for someone else. Well, wait, it's imaginary though. I was gonna say for someone else not to see, but no one else has to see it. That's the whole point.
No one's gonna see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kids believe. That's why kids see it. Maybe they could have done the old just stop believing in him, and he would have went away. Right there, I mean, he might have done that in another book, or somebody did that.
The opposite of Tinkerbell. I don't believe in you.
There's some horror movie where they just stop believing and it goes away. Anyway.
What kind of ending is that?
Well, that's a guy who clearly didn't know how to write ending. Float with us, Don. Yeah, there's a lot of floating. I forgot Don was floating too. It's like he never heard float before, and then as soon as George, this is 30 years later.
Yeah, so nobody ever asked me if balloons float before.
Yeah, right. Right. That's all. He's probably with you. He's like, that's on water. That's what a stupid question. So I guess he went to sleep for 27 years and he was still thinking about balloons. It's like when he woke up, because for him it just happened like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Even the cop says that. Well, now that surely does sound like a lot of balloons.
I love how there's at least, I mean, they're not really helping him, but at least the one guy. Actually, I don't think he does anything. Yeah, no, the story just gets quieted. Never mind.
The guy was a fruit, but he wasn't hurting anyone. So hi-ho the Dario, along come these 3 pussholes in their engineer boots, and they steal his life. I'm going to put them in the slam, my friend, and if I hear they got their puckery little assholes cord down there at Thomaston, I'm going to send them cards saying I hope whoever did it had AIDS. I like that cop.
Yeah. I mean, he does have a point where he's like, don't get distracted by these silly nonsensical details because we want these guys to go to jail.
And I wrote this down. I'm like, can you say ethical dilemma? What's the right thing to do there? They did, and I imagine cops do that all the time because, they do it all the time because DNA lets people out all the time. They are sure they did it, so they're gonna, omit or twist to make it fit.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I know that happens all the time.
Yeah, believe me, I know, and that's all we'll say about that. But
the thing is, usually the monsters aren't real.
Well, I mean, right. I don't mean in a monster. I just mean that the cops think they know someone that did it, so they're not going to say,
yeah.
There was another guy there, or there was, this actually didn't quite happen that way. They're gonna, all this guy has to do is not say anything, and so it's not like he's twisting evidence or anything. He's just keeping quiet and letting what happens.
it's bad for more than just convicting guilty people, because it also means that you're not finding the person who actually did it, because you're stuck on this track or convicting innocent people. Sorry.
Yes, that to me is a rampant problem in I was gonna say military, in law enforcement in general. Like they settle on someone and they did it no matter what, and even if the evidence doesn't point to them, they're gonna make the evidence point to them. And meanwhile, the person that actually did it is free to do it some more.
Mm-hmm.
There's that
More
one
victims.
guy in England, and it's on Netflix. I think it's called Murder Maps.
I haven't seen it.
He was a serial killer for like 40 years, and they were getting close to figuring out who he was. And this smart bastard set up his neighbor to look like it was his neighbor, and his neighbor went away, got the electric chair.
Oh my God.
And then like 10 years after that, they caught him.
How did they even catch him?
Because people kept dying. I'll have to look it up. It's horrible. Like the guy fried for something he didn't do. And like that's worst case scenario, but it happens.
That is why they're, I think it was Justice Warren once said the quote about better to let 100 guilty men go free than convict one innocent man.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, to a point. In theory, I agree. No, I mean, I agree, but I don't know that I want 100 guilty people running around the street either. I just picture 100 serial killers like The Purge or something.
Right, I was like, that's a kind of an ethics question, because you could make the argument that you are still saving more people by convicting that one innocent person.
Yeah. Is Thomaston State Prison? Some of them went to Thomaston, some of them went to Shawshank. I wasn't sure if Thomaston was a real prison.
I don't know. What I thought was interesting though, you said they got like life sentences, right?
Mm-hmm.
In real life, they got a slap on the wrist. I think one of them didn't actually serve time, and the other was like 20 months or 22 months. And like 20 months, and then the third one was 22 months.
Actually didn't get life sentences. John Weber Garton was convicted of first-degree manslaughter and sentenced to 10 to 20 years in Thomaston. Steve Bishop DeBay was convicted of first-degree manslaughter and sentenced to 15 years in Shawshank. Christopher Unwin was tried separately as juvenile, convicted of second-degree manslaughter, sentenced to 6 months at Southwestern Boys Training Facility, sentence suspended.
Oh, okay. So
none of them got murder. They all got manslaughter. How is that even possible?
Well, yeah, I do think that they could have used, like, a better lawyer could have won that case, but I see what they're saying, because they were saying we were only beating him up. We didn't plan to kill him. We didn't know he would die when we threw him over the wall into the water.
Even though he screamed he can't swim.
Right.
I think, yeah. And you know what? That clown shit would have came out. Yeah, a good lawyer would have grilled witnesses before the trial, and the clown shit I think it would have came out either way. So I think their case, maybe manslaughter was the best they could give. Maybe. What happened in real life? Did it say?
You mean the sentences?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on. I was just reading that. Soon, the boys were sent to Hancock County Jail and released into their parents' custody because they were all under 18. They were tried as juveniles and sentenced to the Maine Youth Center not to exceed their 21st birthdays. So one of them was released after 2 years. The third was released after 22 months. Oh, I don't know about... Wait, what about the second one? The first one? I don't know.
So none of them did more than 2 years, basically.
Mm-mm. Oh, one of them... Oh my God, and they tried to find them 25 years later, and one of them was still living and working in Bangor.
No big deal. It wasn't like he did anything wrong.
Yeah.
They were just fruits. I mean, they weren't hurting anybody, but they were only fruits. It wasn't like he killed real people. Like,
unfortunately, that is very much the attitude, I'm sure, of the time.
It was. Even the cops are like, I think it was a cop that said that. It's right here. The guy was a fruit, but he wasn't hurting
in real life.
Oh, well, I mean,
Maybe
I'm
not
gonna,
Maine, but
I'm not gonna say word for word, but I think most of this is the way it happened, or at least
right.
close enough to it, because everything else is damn almost spot on. Just throw in some balloons and an evil clown at the end.
What's life without some balloons and an evil clown?
I mean, it sounds a lot more boring than I would want it to.
Not my life, that's for sure.
He was stabbed 7 times. Melon was stabbed 7 times. That's weird just to read. I don't like that. Uh,
It's also
including
weird to think that Charlie Howard is kind of our real life counterpart.
right. Charlie Howard is Adrian Mellon.
Or Adrian Mellon is Charlie Howard.
Oh yeah, I guess that makes more sense. What did he? They didn't stab him, did they? Yeah, in the book they stabbed him. I don't remember.
Well, that's Derry. How did they get manslaughter? Well, they stabbed him, and they tossed him over the bridge, but they thought he'd survive.
Look, okay, listen. They just, and then we'll move on to the phone calls because we're at an hour and a half already.
Oh, God.
They didn't just throw him over the side. Garton had a switchblade. Mellon was stabbed 7 times, including once in the left lung and twice in the testicles. The wounds matched the blade. 4 of his ribs were broken. Dubé did that, bear hugging him. He was bitten. There were bites on his arms, his left cheek, his neck. And that's probably not clear enough to stand up in court. And so there was a big chunk of meat gone from his right armpit. One of them, see, this is all Pennywise.
Right, that part makes sense.
One of them really liked to bite. Probably even got himself a pretty good bone on. Is that the hard on? No, bone on. While he was doing it. I'm betting Garton, although we'll never prove it. And Mellon's earlobe was gone. Yeah, that was Pennywise. All right, never mind. So they fucked him up. Or Pennywise. Or they threw him over the side and then Pennywise fucked him up. At the major trial of Garton and Dubé, no one mentioned the clown. Okay. Goodbye, Adrian Mellon. We have not made it into any other Stephen King books as of yet. Now we go to 6 phone calls. I actually don't know how much I have to say about this. Okay, it starts with Stan. So I'm just gonna, I'm looking where Stan's part's over because fuck Stan.
Yeah. Who cares about Stan? I'm sorry.
Chicken shit. Stan's reaction is almost more believable than everyone else's, Because, like I was saying, yeah, I made the promise when I was 12. I barely remember that. I said a lot of dumb shit when I was 12, so I'm just, I'm going to stay here. I like my life.
But that's also why I believe that there's definitely more, like the blood promise that they made it is stronger than having the option to say no.
Yeah, maybe because they were in Derry. There was a...
So that's why the only other way out for him was suicide.
The Stan is actually one of the longest parts, man. He's like 25 pages.
I didn't even realize that. Because you kind of learn, it's kind of weird that you get to learn a little bit about his life for then him to die.
All about his life and all about his wife's life and the struggles of being Jewish, and then he's gone. Like that's what I'm saying. Like you can kind of tell he was on coke because he was just rolling with it.
Oh, he does say the one important part is the turtle couldn't help us.
Yeah, that was interesting. I don't remember what Stan knew about the turtle, but yeah, Stan's like Susan. I just didn't, or Susanna. I just didn't connect.
Yeah.
And I know why, because he's a chicken shit, and I didn't like him. As soon as he killed himself, I was like, "Oh, you bastard!" And then you do flashbacks, and Stan's in the flashbacks, and I'm like, "Man, fuck him." He gave up on like it shouldn't have worked because there was some magical thing about being 7 people, if I remember right. So it shouldn't have worked without him. Like he basically fucked everyone when he did that.
Yeah, I don't like him, and whatever. But it's kind of like I don't know how I would feel if I was in his position, so I can't say that I blame him.
I think I would keep living. I just wouldn't go back.
You think you have a choice? That's what I'm saying.
Maybe not. For me, page 46. He called Patricia Baby Love. That's his pet name in Lucy's story for his wife.
Oh.
Page 40. I wrote down, this sounds slightly autobiographical. He's talking about, Stan's talking about Bill. I see he doesn't like what he writes. It was full of monsters chasing after little children. There were killings and bad feelings and stuff.
I thought that was his wife.
There was.
Oh, yeah.
There's a part. Patty been sitting in the I can't remember where. There's a part where he talks about Bill. Oh. No, I didn't find it. And it sounds like he's talking about the shit that he went through. It was like when he was starting out writing, and I can't find it now, so I should have highlighted it. But, oh well. There's a lot of autobiographical stuff in here when he talks to Bill, or talks about Bill, because Bill's the writer.
I've noticed in a few of the stories that we've read that there's definitely him like working stuff out, self-reflecting, if you will.
Yeah. Well, that's what Lizzie's story is. He said that, like his mom. His mom died before he got famous, but Lizzie's story is him working out his feelings about her being gone. Even though he changes it into a husband-wife relationship, but that's why I was excited to read it. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I don't know exactly what I was talking about, but I have written down here already a lot of self-deprecation about authors.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, especially when you get the Bill.
Yeah.
No, I did highlight that. The girl couldn't help us, he said suddenly. Oh, on the phone he said that, right? Or no, when he got off the phone and she was like, whatever, stop talking nonsense.
Yeah.
And because she starts blaming herself, like, I should have paid more attention.
Right, that's what I was thinking, yeah.
Right, but nobody thinks that your husband's going to go upstairs and kill himself just because he took a bath 2 hours early.
Yeah, exactly.
No one is going to own me except my wife, Patricia. So I already own her. I guess that's safe enough. Interesting take on relationships, right? I guess it's true. Do I own you?
No.
Do I own you?
You own me?
Yeah.
Please say no.
You said I think I do. Do you own me?
No, because you reminded me of the many ways that I don't.
Oh, wait a second. You own her, but she doesn't own you?
Hey, that came from her, not me.
Yeah, so, that sounds like...
so you just said I own you, but you don't own me, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'll take that.
Yeah, of course you will. It sounds like somebody who's abusing someone.
Right? And who are you talking to?
I say I own you, you go, well, technically no, and then you give me 1,000 reasons why, and then I just stop and...
That's the melon way.
Exactly, that was my next word.
I don't think so. You own me. I'm okay with that.
Why do you own each other?
No, go ahead.
What?
He said he has a quote here where it says, no one is going to own me except my wife. And since I already own her, I guess that's safe enough. So I thought...
You would think it's safe.
The interesting...
statement, but it's all based on personality, and you're a melon, so you will...
No one owns me.
Exactly.
I mean, it seems kind of like a 15-year-old, like, no one owns me except for my girl. We own each other. It's like, why don't you just be a person and be, I don't know, like, why do you have to own anything?
Right. And you only say she owns you because she does stuff other people don't.
Yeah.
Once you outgrow that, you're right though. It does sound like a possessive abuser almost. Something they would say. I own her, but he saves himself by saying she owns him too.
Yeah, I didn't say Stanwell. They said you were. Just kidding. I'm kidding.
I never think of procreation during. Interesting. I think Stephen King's giving away a little too much information here.
Well, Stephen King and Family Guy were how I learned about sex, so...
Is that true?
I mean, I also took sex education, but like the nuances of it, if you will.
Right, and that was just the facts. There's no fun in that. The penis enters the vagina.
We got to see a woman giving birth.
Oh, that's birth control right there. But I used to say when I watched you guys come out, I was like, "Yep, don't want nothing to do with that for a little while." It didn't last forever, but it lasts for a little while.
Whenever we have screaming kids at work, that's the joke we make. We're like, "That's birth control."
Yep. That's why it's great to be an aunt because you can give them back when they scream. Richard Dawson got kissed more than the Blarney Stone. You know who Richard Dawson is?
I do, but wait, didn't he kiss people?
Well, it was reciprocal. The chicks wanted to be kissed by him when they got on the show. They would wait for him, and they would jump up and down, and they would lean towards him as soon as he got near him.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
yeah.
Is that weird now?
Yeah. Could you imagine if Steve Harvey did that? He's the host of Family Feud.
I guess it would depend on who's initiating it, right? I don't know. I guess.
It's still
here's what I'll
weird.
say.
It'd be weird if it was male or female. You don't need to kiss everyone, especially after COVID.
No, even without COVID, I wouldn't do that because I'm married. I wouldn't want to kiss all the.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially with COVID, ew. I kiss you with a mask on.
No, I still don't want my face that close to your face.
Yeah,
not you,
I
but
told Michelle even without COVID, I learned that I don't want people right next to me anymore at all.
oh, I still keep. Well, I mean, we're kind of still in COVID now because we're back to masks and social distancing. But regardless,
we're back in it. That's for sure. But yeah, if I was Richard Dawson's wife, I'd be like, you want to stop kissing everyone you fucking talk to?
Oh, there's no way it wasn't creepy as hell. What is the desire in you to do that?
I think it's just cultural. You can't apply today's.
Did that on other game shows though? Did they?
I don't know.
Sorry, we're getting off topic.
Yeah, looking at it today, it's a little creepy, but I lived through it. It was just, I was 10, so I don't remember it being creepy, but maybe it was.
Well, remember, just because something's always been that way doesn't mean it was okay. It just means it was always accepted.
But it was okay at the time, I guess.
But that's why I asked, did other game show hosts act that way? Did other TV hosts kiss everyone?
I have no idea. I would say he was notorious for it, so maybe not to the level that he did. So maybe it was a little creepy. I don't know. It wouldn't happen anymore.
Cancel Richard Dawson.
Right. Pretty sure he died, though. Okay, so Stan killed himself because he's a chicken shit, and we learn all about his life with Patricia for some reason. I like the Richie Tozier and the All Dead Band. It's like a band of all rock stars that died. It was like Ricky Valens and Marvin Gaye, and I think Elvis was in there. Only 26 miles, so they're only 26 miles. Is that all? Well, maybe it is in miles, but you don't have the slightest idea how far it really is to Derry, and I don't either. But oh God, oh dear God, I'm gonna find out. Yeah.
When I was reading this one, I think I'm picturing all of the voices from the first movie because that was the one I saw so much.
Yeah. Like when I'm reading Richie, I see Harry Anderson. I don't see who was it?
Bill Hader?
Yeah, I think it was Bill Hader. Or Finn. I don't see Finn at all.
No.
I liked him at the time, but now I just started watching Stranger Things again too.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, especially me. Well, you were young too when you saw it. I was I don't know.
Me and your mom got together with some friends and watched that when it came out. It was a big deal. It was a 4-part miniseries.
I thought you said, the book. That's right. You said you were 16.
No,
yeah.
The TV show. Yeah, the TV show came out in the 90s, 92 or something. Well, I was with your mom from 92 to 94, so I had to come out somewhere in there.
Well, 91, I was... Oh, you mean married? Oh, no, yeah, wait, dating, because I was born in 91.
Okay, so maybe it was 90. Actually, it was 90. Okay, so 90 to 94. Yeah. I tried to shorten the memory. Didn't work.
That would mean I wouldn't have been born.
Well, you'd have been born later.
I would have been Debbie.
Yeah, nobody wants that. I didn't say that. I wrote on 65 for me with, I guess I'm on Richie now. The whole page, I just drew an arrow and I said cocaine speak.
Where he's doing what?
Richie is remembering Derry. He's those are the crypts. He's cracking you open, and the vampires. You thought, for me, it's 65. I think for you, that means it's what, 64. The whole page, gonna get you 4 eyes, gonna make you eat that fucking book bag. Townhouse somehow voiced that. This whole tangent he goes on here. This seems like him being on coke and not being able to shut up. So,
can't
I
find
have
what
a
you're
couple.
talking about.
I have a. Oh, you can't find it. Okay.
I mean,
Hold on. Let me see. Where does Richie start? Richie starts. Oh, right after it. So where Stan scrawls it on the bathroom.
no, yeah.
Then it goes to Richie, takes a powder. So you turn the page once, turn the page again, and on the right side. For me, it starts with a cigarette, just one. Even Carlton would do. Right?
Yeah. You said that was 65?
Uh-huh.
Not 61 for me. That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Look at the bottom of that. Thank you, and I hope you can vote for us in November, John F. Kennedy.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I know that guy.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, hey.
Like, you're about to be dead. All right, so Richie's phone call is mostly about him remembering Derry. We get our first Aya in
Yeah, I highlighted that.
Richie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I shuddered.
You should just remember the way they talk. Richie didn't want nothing to do with it. I'm surprised he went back because he was one of the ones I thought was probably like, no way.
You keep saying you're surprised, but I really believe that they have no choice or they wouldn't go back.
That may be. It may have been written in there. Maybe the turtle signed them on when they did the blood ritual. The turtle was like, all right, writing that one down in my book.
Also, we didn't mention it. I forgot when we moved on from Stan, but he said something to his wife. Once she had made an uneasy joke about deals with the devil. Stanley had laughed until he almost choked, but to her it hadn't seemed that funny, and she supposed it never would. So I'm like, the fact that they all were so successful, and they made this blood ritual pact and this promise, it's like it's all kind of like, hey man, like again, I don't think they have a choice.
Could be. I actually wrote that page 45. All the way back to Stan, but Stan says the turtle couldn't help us. Well, why not? Isn't that why he's there? Isn't that the whole point in him being in this story is to help him?
I'm excited to read it again because I remember a lot of this beginning part, but I don't remember exactly what the turtle does in the end. So
The turtle is kind of like a guide. He doesn't really.
I know, but I mean his influence specifically. Like I just remembered that there's a turtle.
We get our first history lesson on page 20 where he mentions the Bradley gang getting shot in the middle of the street, and that was an actual thing too, right?
The Brady gang, shot by the FBI.
Yeah. And again, nobody did anything. The Derry doesn't help anybody. I put that too.
So we're
look, for Stan, I just wrote, I hate Stan. That's all I wrote.
Fuck you, Stan.
Yeah, I'm not wasting my pen and ink on you. My God. Although I did, and I remember thinking that I hear, historically significant that a lot of people hate Jews for some reason. I never really, they don't look any different. They're just white people, but they're Jewish.
It's still that way because all of the conspiracy groups, like the flat earthers and the, I can't remember who else is out there. All of them. Yeah, it always comes down to like something against Jewish people in some way or another, like, or that they're, it's the secret Hitler who's living somewhere trying to, I don't know, regain his popularity. Like it's always about that.
Yeah, and at some point, I guess they got notorious for being financial whizzes, so that now people hate them because they own all the banks. Well, if you don't like it, go own your own bank. Well, look at that.
But do they even? I don't like.
I'm not saying they do. I'm saying that's
Yeah.
perception of the haters. I don't think banks are owned by any one person at all.
Right. Obviously.
Okay.
So on to Ben.
Yeah,
or-
Richie from the Ditchy.
There really wasn't anything from Ben's section. Oh, you learn about Belch and Chris and Bowers.
You notice? Well, hold on, Richie, real quick. He packed his suitcase with nothing but kids' clothes. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna be going shopping when they get to Derry.
Oh, Richie also mentions it towards the end, near section 3, chapter 3, whatever.
Richie, I remember freaking out more than anybody else from it when it was like he had to go back. He's like, nope, I don't want to do that.
Well, I kind of would understand that, because if you're constantly masking everything in comedy, it's a you don't take everything very seriously. So then when shit hits the fan, you're like, nope, I can't handle this. Nuh-uh, not real.
Yeah, I mean, I think Richie was, what would you say, naturally a comedian, but he also was hiding a lot after the fact. I think his career in comedy had something to do with his scars. And a lot of comics are that way. A lot of them are very sad people. It's weird.
Well, what did Bill write about? Did he write about happy stuff?
Well, Bill's Stephen King, so that doesn't count.
Well, what did Bev do? Did she marry a nice guy?
No, he did not. Bev. Oh, and that, yeah, we're not on Bev yet. All right, so Ben, we may have 10 minutes left on this. I might have to call you back. I don't think we'll get through it in 10 minutes. We're on track. Or we could just, I don't know. Ben, I don't have much. Ben Henscombe takes a drink. I don't.
Like I said, the first thing that I highlighted was where you meet the first mention of Belch and Chris and Bowers.
Oh my God. The amount of alcohol he drank.
Yeah.
There's no way he would be anywhere but the hospital.
Yeah, the fact that he drove, I was like, nah.
Yeah, there's no way the bartender would have let him drive. I mean, maybe in the 80s, but if he fell, he would have been whoever Ben killed on the way home would have been the bartender's charge.
Mm-hmm.
He began to squeeze raw lemon juice into his right nostril. Whoa, never heard that one.
I know. I would never try it, but I'm curious if it works.
Well, I don't need to drink that bad that I need to stunt my other senses to get it down.
You know, that's a great point also.
Reginald Huggins. Wow. Belch was Reginald, huh?
Reginald. Oh, Reginald. I disagree.
Right? Oh, Reginald. Victor Christ. And a fellow named Henry Bow. Okay, so now we get to Henry carving the H. So that's what I was talking about. Like, his bullies are so over the top. Like, what bully you know that would actually physically, like, carve a name into someone else? Like, what, you know?
What did we just read? Something happened. Something we just read. They had. Oh, was that? No. Was that the body? I felt like another bully had pulled out a knife. And we were like, what the hell?
Ace pulled out a knife.
Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah.
That's why Chris pulled out the gun.
Yeah.
Or Gordy pulled out the gun. I can't remember who it was in the book.
And it's like, why are all these? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a boy. Maybe that's a boy thing. But why are you walking around with switchblades to cut people with?
A lot of that happened in the 50s, and it wasn't to cut people with. It was cutting branches and stuff like that. You never knew when you needed a knife when you were out in the woods.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to carry one all the time when I was little.
Like I do understand having a switchblade and like a multi-tool, but like the fact that the first instinct is like, oh, I'm gonna cut my initials into him.
Yeah.
Or his name.
Definitely over the top. You ever hear of having amnesia so complete you didn't even know you had amnesia?
Isn't that what amnesia is?
Well, no, you can know that you can't remember stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's trauma.
Yeah, he doesn't even know that he doesn't remember.
because his brain
Um,
didn't want him to. Well, or the spider.
All right, so yeah, then we go to Eddie. Again, Eddie married his mom. Myra is very whiny. I don't like her at all. Eddie, what are you doing? Maybe it's because his name's Eddie, and I just picture her talking to me or something.
Well, he married his mom, so.
Yeah, that's a problem in itself. So Eddie owns a limo company. Myra has to drive Robert De Niro, and she's freaking out about that. Again, a lot of talk about Eddie and Myra, and he leaves, and Myra's never in the book again. So it's kind of like, okay, do I need all this? Oh, and this is where the first mention of psychosomatic and the aspirator comes up. So I don't know if we should go into that because it's more hinted at than explained in detail. Home is the place where, when you have to go there, they have to chain you up.
So you don't leave? That was it, right?
Yeah, well, it starts with home is the place when you have to go there, they have to take you in or something like that. And then he keeps changing it, he keeps tweaking it.
Yeah.
He goes, home is the place when you have to go there, they have to chain you up. Home is the place when you have to go there, you have to finally face the thing in the dark.
I mean, that's a great metaphor.
Yeah, that's kind of true. So Eddie tells Myra to fuck off. That's what this comes down to for the next 15 pages.
Yeah. Just real quick, that's why I like, in my head, I always kind of thought Stan and Eddie were very similar because, you know, they were like scared and they're all got all these problems and like controlling people in their lives. But at least Eddie, like, he still has heart, you know, he still will do things even if he's afraid of it.
Yeah, I think Richie's that way too. I think Richie could have been Stan because Richie was terrified of that thing and didn't want to go back, but he did. Like Eddie's who Stan or Richie's who Stan could have been.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. If he wasn't so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean Eddie was just, I don't know that Eddie was ever scared, but everyone around him told him he was scared. You know?
No, that's true. That's
Like,
a good
because
point.
some of the stuff he did was pretty ballsy.
Well, he did say, no, like that's how it all started when he was like 6 years old and he was like, I didn't know what was going to hurt me, but I knew it must have been bad because of how afraid my mom was. Like he said something like, I could see the fear in her eyes and I knew it was real.
Yeah. Well, we get our first Patrick Hockstetter,
Yeah.
July of 1958. Patrick Hockstetter. I think they found, he's the one in the freezer, right? Wait, I need to stop saying stuff like that. And it rose to I spent my summer vacation, a theme by Patrick Hockstetter. I spent it dead in a tunnel. Moss grew on my books and they swelled up to the size of Sears catalog.
Oh, I found what I was looking for. Yeah, it's, well, it doesn't matter. My page 94, he just says the threat had been serious. He knew that much. She had been so scared and that was how he knew. So terrified. So I can believe that he has fear. Oh yeah, and then Patrick Hockstetter's on the next page, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's been told to be scared of everything, so I think he's definitely scared, but he actually doesn't act scared, I guess is what I would say.
Yeah. He's got gumption. He's got moxie.
There you go. Come full circle. I still have, I have a little bit of moxie left, like half a case. All right, so Eddie gets in the car and goes, and then we come to Beverly. Beverly,
Yeah.
There's a lot in Beverly. I don't know how much to get into. Basically, Beverly married her father.
Yep.
And I don't remember from the beginning. I thought like it was always hinted at that maybe he was molesting her, maybe he was hitting her, but it was never really, I felt like, stated that he actually was doing anything. It was more like an impression.
No, I'm pretty sure it was stated that he was actually hitting her. I don't know about the sexual part though.
Yeah, but there was definitely I care a lot, you know, that kind of stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, one of the first things she said says when he's talking about Tom is, hits him like her father did or something. I was like, oh, so there's no doubt then.
Well, and even they say she came to school with bruises all the time.
Yeah, how is that okay? It was the 50s, different time.
Yeah, I mean, it's also hard. Like, that's recently that happened. The kid whose foster parents killed him, kept him in a suitcase for days or something like that.
Jesus Christ.
Gabriel Hernandez, and the teacher tried to report it so many times and then they never did anything.
Somebody was in trouble for that. I think I vaguely heard about that, but I didn't realize.
It's on Netflix.
Oh, that's Gabriel Hernandez.
Mm-hmm.
That's on my list. I haven't actually watched that yet. I watched like half of the first episode.
Yeah. I will tell you, out of all the crime documentaries I've ever watched, that is the most depressing and horrifying I've ever seen.
You always wonder what it's like to know you're gonna die and have your last moments on Earth just be extreme hell.
Not just his last moments, his entire life, except for, basically from the age of 3. And he was only 7 when he died.
We need a special kind of place for people like that.
Yeah.
Like what we should do. We don't have time for it. Beverly's dad is awful. Beverly's husband is probably worse. And he does. It's a pretty interesting insight into the abused psyche, because like when he goes from Tom's perspective, most of this, actually all of this is from Tom's perspective, isn't it? So he's like, I hit her, and based on like her reaction was where this was going to go. Let's see what she does after I do that. And she didn't do anything. He tells her, get out of the car, go, have a nice life. And she doesn't leave. He's like, all right, that's when I knew she was mine. Like,
but that's one of the questions I wrote down was, how did Stephen King put himself into this mindset so well?
Right. It kind of makes you wonder, huh?
Yeah.
Not really, but yeah.
No. I don't get violent tendencies from him, but it is very seemingly spot on.
For that, I would say, yeah, he did a lot of coke, so he just went with it.
Yeah.
A lot of times when I write, that's what a lot of the stuff that I write, that's what I'm trying to do, is put myself in their position and what would it be like. So I can kind of get that. I think somebody's shouting in the other room. Maybe the Phillies game started. I wrote down for Eddie, it's all about the pills. It was this pill for that and that pill for that, and he had to take his pill for this, and yet, well, I don't know that we know that yet, so I'm not going to say that.
I know what you were going to say. It's ironic.
Yeah. And yet, Mr. King.
Right.
Oh, he's back. Oh, I wonder what he's going to be like in this book. I don't remember. Oh, I remember
not pleasant.
Yeah, is he as much of a douche as he is in 11/22/63?
Well, that was afterward.
He's not a douche in this one necessarily. He just tells it to him straight, and he might be the only person that does. But it didn't work. Okay, so after Eddie was what? I got back to Eddie somehow. Sorry. Then we have Ben. Ben remembers getting cut by Henry Bowers. He remembers little.
You're on Bev already.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up. That's right. We were talking about Bev. I thought that the insights were pretty. I was going to say spot on. Not that I have any reference to.
That's why I said seemingly spot on.
Yeah, but she finally grows a pair. They have a pretty epic fight. She's just throwing whatever she can find at his ass. She fucks him up pretty good too.
Well, because she knows that at all costs she's got to survive and get out of there, because she has no choice but to go back to Derry.
That's what's different this time, and that's why he's so like, holy shit, what is going on? She's never showed a backbone before in her life, and now she's like throwing shit at me. Like, he pulls out the leather whip thing. I forget what he called it, and she's like, oh no, you're not hitting me with that. Like, he's like, what? Like, he was more. I think he was almost scared of the way she was acting. He didn't know who she was anymore.
Yeah.
Like, where's? I think he thinks it or something. He's like, where's my wife? Like, but then that's what's different. when Mike called, there was no choice. She was going, and there was nothing stopping her. And that she never had anything since she left Derry that made her feel that way.
It's kind of
Like,
it's really sad, actually. Yeah.
and even, well, yeah, and even in the middle of all that, she's throwing fucking metal or glass ashtrays and busting them in the head, and all he can think is her mascara was running. He likes seeing her that way. It was messy, but it was something sexy about it. Slutty, kind of exciting. Like, really? That's what you're thinking about right now?
Well,
maybe.
I can believe that.
I get that the mascara running can be kind of sexy, but I don't know that would be my thought at that time. There's the cigarette that really pissed him off. I wonder if this is after or before he quit smoking. It's the cigarette that sets him off really more than him. The fact that she didn't ask, she just lit it like it was no big deal. He was like, "Oh hell no."
Yeah, I'd say it's more about the control than the cigarette.
Right, but it's the cigarette that set him. Well, it's the cigarette and the fact that, like, she just started packing. She just lit a cigarette. It was the fact that she forgot he was in the room that really pissed him off. Mm-hmm. Like, she was just acting like he wasn't even there. Half the relationship had been set in that parking lot. The second half was set 40 minutes later in Tom's bed. Yeah. Like, he told her to go if she wanted to go, and she didn't. And she was like, "Yeah, got you." So he didn't. Better to be. Oh, and Tom was beat as a kid, apparently. By his mom. He had an awful childhood himself.
You would hope most people who act like that were not treated well in their childhood.
Right. Yeah, I'm not taking any affluenza excuse on that one. There was fear. There was fear, but it came out of the telephone. Fear was not supposed to come to Beverly from that direction. Almost as if she didn't see the belt and didn't see him. And Tom felt his trickle of the knees. Was he here?
Yeah, right? She's making him question himself.
Just by ignoring him. Like, she's acting so much differently than he's used to. Okay, so she beats him up and runs out, and he runs after her, but not quick enough. I think I'm not going to foreshadow, never mind. I think he ends up at her friend's house and, like, tortures her or something.
I don't remember.
The Tootsie bitch, whatever. I can't remember what her name was. Mm-hmm. All right, on to Bill Denbrough, Audra. Never liked Audra. Because I wanted Bill and Beverly I wanted Bill and Beverly to be together, and then you know how that goes.
I don't think Bev is supposed to be with Bill, so.
Well, no, it doesn't. Hey, I was 16, man. I wanted them to be together. I was like, what do you mean? Like, Audra could have just been like Eddie and stayed in the deadlights. Never mind. I need to stop saying it. I think I'm just going to have to tell people that there's going to be spoilers, even though we tried. There's just no way. So, wait, who am I on now? Oh, Phil. Okay. Phil's making a movie. There's a lot of stuff that I highlighted for Bill that's like Stephen King. He's a poor boy from the state of Maine who goes to the university on a scholarship. He even feels that he is not so much telling the story as he is allowing the story to flow through him. We all know that's Stephen King.
Right.
He sits down in his rocking chair and looks at a Grateful Dead poster and starts to laugh. If they want to call it pulp, fine, let it be pulp. The woods were full of pulp. Let them fucking trees fall, Bill says. His battered copy of The Writer's Market. That is Stephen King, because when I was 15, I bought a copy of The Writer's Market and The Poet's Market because Stephen King told me that there was... It basically tells you what you write and where you should look to publish it based on what you write. So I used to have a copy of that. I haven't. Then I went and did drugs for like 15 years, so I stopped caring. Got married, had kids, all that stuff. Actually, no, it was after I met Jen. I think my grandmother bought it. We were in Philly for one Christmas, and I think I got it from her for one Christmas. He was always like my ally, my staunchest supporter, I guess you would say. My dad definitely. I'm not getting into that. Never
We
mind.
don't have time.
Yeah, I'm not publishing that kind of shit. So, Bill thinks he never dreams. Audra says, "Oh yes, you do." And he tells her about Georgie. Tell you, I don't know. Wait. You know I had a brother, and you know he died, but you don't know he was murdered. He's like, why didn't you ever? He's like, tell you? I don't know. I don't know. We were living in Derry. Oh, I thought he was saying how he didn't even remember it, so how could he tell her? I think I messed that one up. Whoever killed him pulled off his left arm the way a second grader would pull a wing off a fly. Another Grateful Dead reference. Even though, he hasn't thought of Georgie in 20 years or more, he said. I don't know. Well, I mean, that's Derry. I feel like that's something you wouldn't forget. In fact, it would be the basis of most of your life from that point on. It's like having a case of amnesia so bad you don't know you've got it. That's two people that said that.
That's not. Oh yeah, but again, that's just how the brain works.
Yeah. Back to Derry because we promised. He said, and we did. We did. All of us kids. We stood in the creek that ran through the barrens. We held hands in a circle and we cut our palms with a piece of glass. So it was like a bunch of kids playing Blood Brothers, only it was real. Yeah, realer than they imagined. So Bill basically tells Audra to have a nice life. I can remember Stan doing his own hands last, pretending he was going to slash his wrists instead of just cut his palms a little. I guess it was some goof, but I almost made a move on him to stop him because for a second or two he looked serious. He probably was for a second or two, I have to say, knowing what we know. Some of my favorite stuff's coming up, and I forgot how much of this book. He thrusts his fist against the post and still insists he sees the ghost. I used to recite that line just because it's like an earworm.
It's fun to say, yeah.
Yeah. People are like, what are you talking about? Like, that's also my tester. They're like, oh, you like Stephen King? You're like, oh, he thrusts his fist. You're like, what? They're like, never mind, moving on. Okay, Bill was the last one. I guess Mike doesn't get a phone call.
No.
And then we go to first interlude. I was very happy that the quote is from Clive Barker, another one of my favorite authors that I know because of Stephen King. That he's actually, I want a podcast on it. There's a book he has it. It's just fucking amazing. All right, so I'm not gonna read through the first interlude. Maybe I'll just read through my Derry history notes. So this is what I got because that's all the first interlude is. Right? Maybe I need to look at what I highlighted in case there's something in there. Actually, there is some cool shit in there. So at some point, the narrator switches from him to we. So it becomes Mike at some point. I'm not sure when it happened.
See, that's what I'm talking about. I don't think Mike is the narrator until it's his section.
Yeah. That may be true. Oh, I like how he does the haunt. What haunt means? I was very intrigued by that. Haunted, often visited by ghosts or spirits. Haunting, persistently recurring to the mind, difficult to forget. To haunt, to appear to or recur often, especially as a ghost. A place often visited. Yeah. A place often visited, resort, den, hangout. And one more. This one, like the last, is the definition of haunt as a noun, and it's the one that really scares me. A feeding place for animals. Like the animals that beat up Adrian Mellon and threw him over the bridge. So, yeah, maybe the people are haunted. Never kind of really thought about that.
That's a good point. I never put that together before. I mean, they are. That's kind of what we've been saying, is that it's just Derry's bad.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting. I didn't know it was possible for a man to become as frightened as I have become since the Adrian Mellon business and still live, let alone function. It says, I've fallen into a story and everyone knows you're not supposed to feel this afraid until the end, when the haunter of the dark finally comes out of the woodwork to feed on you, of course. But if this is a story, it's not one of those classic screamers. I know, you see, not everything, but a lot. Yeah, okay. So yeah, my point with the Adrian Mellon stuff is what brings him back. Like, oh, it's happening again. Or maybe it was knowing that its time might be coming around again. Maybe it was the voice of the turtle. I like Mike. But I'm not sure I like the kid that did Mike in the new one. But God, what happened to Adrian Mellon is so much like what happened to Stuttering Bill's brother George in the fall of 1957. Is it? Why? Did they both get
He
their arms?
had the bite marks. Remember the big piece of flesh torn out of his shoulder?
Yeah, I guess. And it's the same canal, probably, right? That's where the sewer ends up.
Yeah.
If I have to make those calls, it may kill some of them. Interesting. And he makes the calls anyway. Like, what would happen if you just said, nah, I'm going to move somewhere else and not worry about this anymore? You know, like, I'm going to go to California all the way across the country and see if I ever read it in the paper. Of course, it would be a shorter book, but that's probably what I'd have done. Like, fuck Derry. They don't remember. Mike says that they don't remember. I'm somehow convinced that they don't remember any of it because they don't need to remember. I'm the only one that hears the voice of the turtle. The only one who remembers because I'm the one who stayed in Derry. Yeah, that's pretty much the crux of it right there. I call him out there in California. Go ahead.
I think at some point, I have the impression that he said something like he wasn't allowed to leave. Like, not that he necessarily tried, but that somebody had to stay there to remember and to bring them all back just in case.
Yeah, and everybody else was gone by the time he had that option. Mellon in July, dead child in Neibolt Street in October, another Memorial Park in December. The Albrecht girl was found across the street from that damned house on Neibolt Street. She was killed on the same day as George Jenborough, 27 years later. So yeah, it's Adrian, and then we start doing the history. Like, is it blind fate, blind luck, or is it that damn turtle again? Does it perhaps command as well as speak? That was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Are they? Maybe that's why they're coming back, because the turtle.
That's what I've been saying the whole time.
I know. The turtle commanded it. Well, Stan was able to say no in his own way.
The only way he could think of.
Maybe he needs to be a little more of a better thinker. If you go exploring Mansion Derry, you find all sorts of things. You may be sorry later, but you'll find them. And once a thing is found, it can't be unfound. Some of the rooms are locked, but there are keys. There are keys. Well, don't find the key. The little village of Wooden Home. There was a history. The 1700s village was stood right at the corner of Witcham and Jackson, where Derry started. Indian massacre? Doubtful. No bones, no bodies. Yeah, good luck saying Indian massacre now. Cause he starts talking about that, and I was like, that sounds like Roanoke. You're cheating. And then he calls himself out. He's like, no, but nothing like this has happened since Roanoke. I'm like, at least you covered that part. You know about Roanoke? I'm assuming you do.
What's that?
You know Roanoke?
Yeah, we talked about it. I told you they recently actually discovered where they all went.
We did? You did? Where?
Wasn't that us? Maybe that was Matt.
We might have talked about it, but I don't remember.
They went to the nearby island. I can't remember what it's called, but like they did DNA testing and they were able to trace the genealogy back to that guy. I also can't remember what his name is.
Was the island called Croatoan?
Is it? I think it.
That's what they wrote on the tree and all that. Anyway.
Yeah. It's a nearby island, basically.
Yeah, we went, that's where That's where it ends. All right, so my Derry history. Let's see, and then we'll call it a day. Adrian Mellon's 1984. The Bradley Gang's 19 or 8. Wait, I didn't write down the date for the Bradley Gang. Georgie died in the fall of '57. Patrick Hockstetter disappears in July of '58. Black Spot burned down by the Maine Legion of what is it called? White decent people or something like that. In 1929, Kitchener Ironworks exploded in, well, okay, so it was here in 57, 58. It was here in 29, 30. It was here in 04, 05, and part of 06 because Kitchener Ironworks didn't explode till 06. 1876 and 77. I didn't write down what happened, but he mentioned that it was here then too. Albert Carson was the head librarian. I don't know why I wrote that there, because that was a long time to be a head librarian. 1914 and 1960. Imagine what that guy knows. Mike does talk to him, I think, at some point. In fact, he does. I know he does. That's where Mike gets a lot of information. The Derry murder rate is 6 times anywhere else. Like, that doesn't call attention to anything.
Oh.
It was started by 300 English. You're making noise.
Sorry. Trying to get ready.
It was started by 300 English settlers of the Derry IE Company in 1741. Everyone disappeared. They were there in June, gone by October. Whatever. I guess somebody came back because it's still there. Betty Ripsome was found frozen on Jackson Street just after Christmas. He was ripped open, her whole thing, and that was 1741. 40 to 60 kids disappear every year in Derry. Jesus Christ. I think that would be a red flag, right? But not in Derry because...
But it's like, it depends on who's looking. Like, nobody cares federally.
1879, a crew of lumberjacks found another crew that had spent the winter snowed in on the Kendustig, where the Barrens are now. All 9 were hacked to pieces. 1851, John Markson poisoned his entire family and sat down and ate a nightshade mushroom. God, I don't know what that does, but it's apparently painful and awful. 1906, the Kitchener Ironworks Easter egg hunt exploded during the Easter egg hunt. 102 died, 88 were children. 1930, the Black Spot fire, 170 kids disappeared. In 1958, 127 kids disappeared. And I don't think there was even an explosion or a fire in 1958. They just disappeared. So, Mike finishes by saying, I sit next to the telephone. I put my free hand on it, let it slide down, touch the holes in the dial. It could put me in touch with all of them, my old pals. We went deep together. We went in the black together. We would come out of the black if we went. Would we come out of the black if we went in a second time? I don't think so. Please God, I don't have to call them. Please God. Well, we know how that went.
Yeah.
Because he called. It'd be a short book if you didn't call him. It'd be 160 pages.
He's like, yeah, nah, never mind.
Yeah, I'm not gonna call him. I'm out of here. Fuck this shit. All right. So next, we're gonna do part 2, which is almost 300 pages. Do we want to do the whole thing? Maybe give it another week, or do you want to do it straight up?
Well, let's see where.
In fact, it is 300 pages. It goes from 165 to like 480. So it's basically a lot of the stuff that happens to each one of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, I don't know. Either we should split it up or make it a longer time. Although this podcast is going to be like 5 hours long. We have got to wind down on the conversation.
I mean, with it, yeah, we'll try. There's so much to talk about, man. All right, so let's cut this one in half. Let's do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So let's do 4, 5, and 6. Wait,
4,
that's
5.
too short. 7 starts on 290. That's only 150 pages. And
It's only
then,
300 pages. It's half.
oh yeah, okay. You want to do that?
Sure.
All right. Part 2, chapters 4, 5, and 6. Next week or in 2
Oh
weeks.
wait, part 6 ends on 275. That's like barely 100 pages.
No. Part 7 starts on 290. So
Oh, ours are different. Okay, so part 4, 5, and 6.
yeah, it'll go from 165. So it's like 120 pages, and then 290 to 440 is like 390.
That should be fine.
Yeah. Okay. So this one will be a little bit short, but that's fine. Maybe it'll be a shorter podcast.